to show you again which way round. Here's Loki. Oh, hello. This is my boy, the love of my life. He's just busting through. Yeah. Which way round the hinges go, just to be clear. So here, these are the hinges that we made. So as you can see, they're a little bit different because they've actually got gussets on either end of the hinges, which is not the way we usually do it. Usually we've got our wing and then a hinge and then a gusset, but this has got the wing and the gusset. That is because the wings actually form hinges when we put the book together. So what we've got here is we've got our hinges and we're going to have our hinges pointing upwards, okay? And this is the spine. So you have to excuse this bit, it's just where I've just ripped it apart just to show you how it goes together. But the spine here, what we've got is we've got the 1/2 inch score marks that go there. This is the mountain side of it. So this is where the little bobbles are, and that's going to go on the bottom. So what you've got is you've got your sort of the spine bobbly bit to the bottom. So this is the way that when you've had it on your scoreboard, this is the way that it goes. So this is what these are the score lines that you've made. That's the underside of it. This is your hinge, and what you're going to do to attach it is you're going to put your glue. Oh, guess what I haven't done? Okay, Mark, can you tap my glue? Oh no, it's all right, it's coming out now. So what you're going to do is you're going to put some glue on that 2 inch sort of hingey bit that you've got, or 1 inch hingey bit that you've got there. And you're going to lay down your spine on top of it, your hinge on top of the spine like that, because there's 1 inch here as well. And you're going to line those up so that what you've got is you've got your hinges pointing upwards with your bobbles underneath, okay? Because what's going to happen is that this hinge, start again. This bit, this wing bit, is going to become a hinge, okay? So this is where we're going to attach, and we will be doing this tonight. This is where we're going to attach the back of the book, but I only want you to attach that one side at the moment. I don't want you to attach both sides, okay? So this is going to become a hinge. Then we've got all of these hinge. Can you just look? I've got to be. Can you just pull it apart and stick it the right way round? Because you are never going to see these bits. You can see how manky mine looks now because I've just taken it apart. But that doesn't matter because you're not going to see this bit. This is going to fit inside our book, so it doesn't matter if it looks a little bit ropey. Right, Alison, has that helped? Has that explained it for you now? Because eventually what's going to happen is as we put the pages in, because we're going to start from the back, we're going to put the back cover on first, and then we're going to move our way forward towards the front of the book. When we get to the front of the book, when we put our front page in, this is going to attach to that. And it's better to glue it afterwards, the last bit that we do. That's going to attach like that and become a hinge, so that then we've got the spine of our book like that. So if I get my original, now you can see how it goes together. So we're going to start off today with this back page, and we're going to decorate that, and then eventually once we've decorated it, we're going to put it onto the hinges, and we're going to work our way forward towards the front of the book, and then our final page, which is this front page, that will then go onto there. So those two bits are going to form the hinge, okay? It is quite simple. It just takes a bit of explaining. Okay, so where are we? Last week, what we did was we made all of our base pages, and we're going to decorate those before we put them in, because that actually makes life so much easier. Hi Tracy, no problem at all. You haven't missed anything really. We're just talking about what we did last week. So what we're going to start with is the back page of our book, which is the bit with the gatefold on, so that when we finish putting our book together, so just save, right, so it's going to go like that. Once we've finished putting our book together, that will form the front of it, okay? So wherever my book is, which I've lost again. Oh, hello, Loki. That's that bit, okay? If that makes sense. Right? So what I want to do is start with the very, very back page, so we can put our loose pages to one side. And unlike the other books, really, where I tell you to go off and do some decorating, we're actually going to do it all together, because it's going to take a bit of time, and it's just too complicated to keep going backwards and forwards. Oh, look who's joined us. Hello, Enfys. Happy evening. How lovely to see you here. This is lovely. Oh, I'm happy now. Cool. Right, so I said that what I'm going to do with this book is I'm going to use the Fall Orchard papers for this version. The green, which you've seen, and I've when I did my stock take at the weekend, I found some more packs of paper, because, you know, that's the way I roll. So if anybody does want a Fall Orchard kit, or there are a couple of Halloweeny kits as well, they're actually in the shop at the moment, so we do have a couple of those going spare. So what I want to do first of all is I want to cut out, in just ordinary cardstock, I want to cut out the pocket that goes here on the very back page. We'll do all the inserts last of all right, so don't worry about that at the moment. And then I want to cut out this sort of middle page, which goes between these two pages here. So what we'll do is we'll cut these bits out and make these, and then we're going to decorate them. Okay, so you need to get some of your cardstock. You are going to need your trimmer, and you're going to need your scoreboard. So let's get started.
Adam's just popped in.
Oh, hi Adam. Just been laughing at your post with all of the Dotty About flares. I thought I'd got a collection, but flipping heck, yours is seriously impressive. If anybody likes flare buttons, Natalie, who's knocking about, makes the most beautiful flare buttons, and she has a business called Dotty About Flare. So take a look online and on Facebook and have a look and see what she's got. But I know that Adam is a huge fan, because I was laughing at his collection earlier on. It's quite impressive. Right, okay, so let's cut these bits out. So I'm just getting my cutting guide, because, you know, I never remember things to start with. So what we're going to do first is we're going to cut 2 at 6 1/4 by 8 1/4 inches. So if you're in the UK, you will know that a piece of A4 card, which is what, if you've had a kit, this is what you've got in your kit. A piece of A4 card in the UK is 8 1/4 inches by 11 3/4 inches, which makes life very, very easy when you need to cut 8 1/4 inches. So I don't have to cut 8 1/4 inches. I know in the US, for example, the A4 is slightly different, and I can't remember whether it's bigger or smaller, but I have an idea it is bigger, isn't it? Yeah. So you might have to cut yours down a little bit if you're using US size cardstock. But I'm not, so I don't need to cut my 8 1/4 inches because it's already done for me. So I'm going to cut 2 at 6 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. Now do keep all your spare offcuts of card, because they're really, really great for doing things like making your inserts and photo mats. So I'm only going to get one of those pockets out of each piece of A4, but I'm going to keep these bits.
It's fatter and shorter.
It's fatter and shorter. It sounds like me. Right, so those are the 2 pockets, but now we need to make that funny little page that goes in the middle. So for that, I want you to cut 1 at 6 1/2 by 7 1/4 inches.
I was saying that the sizes might be able to sync if you're watching later.
Oh yes, that's a good point as well. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, I'm so sorry. Somebody asked the question I think they were watching back part 1 of this class, about the the measurements and which ones were right, whether it was mine or Mark's. Well, I have to tell you that one thing that I've discovered about Facebook is if you're not watching the class live, Facebook will mess up the order in which you get the chat. So if you're going to make the book, follow what I say. The cutting guide may have a mistake in it because I can't measure to save my life. So the first version that you get, I can't always guarantee is going to be right, but I will update it if I'm wrong. But if you're doing the class like live, then Mark's measurements are absolutely right. It's just if you're watching back, they can go out of sync, and that can cause no end of trouble, I think. So just a little beware for you there. If you're not watching live. So I've cut one at 6.5 by 7.25, and now I just need to cut one at 6.5 by 8.25. So once again, for me, in the UK, it's already 8.25 wide.
Whereas apparently the Americans is
8.5 by 11. Yeah. So it's wider and shorter. Yeah. I can identify with that. Right. Okay. So we've done our cutting now. Now we need to get our scoreboard out. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to score on the first two that we cut, which are the pockets that go onto the actual main pages, and these are both 6.25 by 8.25 inches. So if we score on the 8.25 inch side to start with, so I'm putting the 8.25 inches at the top. I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. And I'm going to score at 7 3/4 inch. Scoot it round 90 degrees, and I'm going to score on the 6.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. So what we've got are 3 score lines that intersect. This is just a basic pocket. We've made many of these before, okay? So 3 intersecting score lines with those 2 funny little intersecting squares at the bottom. And we're going to do that with both of them. Is that the right one? I don't even know which is the right size now. I think I've just scored the wrong one. Oh, bother.
You know.
I am. Let's start again. Right. I'm scoring... Right, those two are the same. Right, so I'm scoring the piece that is 8.25, yes, by 6.25. Right. So I'm going to score that one first. I'm going to score it exactly the same way. So I'm scoring at 1/2 inch on the 8.25 inch side and at 7 3/4, and I'm just going to scoot it round and score at 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to do that on both. Actually, I think I have done that one right. I have, accidentally. So yes. The biggest one that we did, that was 6.5 by 8.25, which was the very last one that we cut out, bizarrely, miraculously, I actually did score it right. Once again, you're scoring it like it's a basic pocket. So you're scoring on the 8.25 inch side at 1/2 inch, 7 3/4 inches, turning it round, and you're scoring on the 6.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, which should, yes, be right. So the last piece, which was 6.5 by 7 1/4 inches, I want you to score on the 6.5 inch side, so that's the one at the top, at 1/2 inch. I've just confused you all now, haven't I?
Yes, by going over that. Yeah.
Sorry. Ah, brilliant, David. That's great news. Did you disappear last week, or did you stay for the rest of the chat? Because you gave us such a lot of conversation when we were talking about shoes, and it was positively hilarious. I really enjoyed class last week. Right, So we're going to start off on the very, very, very back cover so we can put all but one of those pieces away. And we're going to start off, actually, no, so I'm just waiting for Mark to catch up. It's my fault for getting confused. It's because I scored the wrong one first, although it didn't matter because it was right in a roundabout sort of a way. Oh no! Oh, that's not good, David. How selfish of them. You need crafting time. Right, let's start with this bit. This is that funny little pocket that goes right in the very middle that flaps. So you've got a 1/2 inch score mark down there. What we're going to do now is we're going to make a pocket to go on top, okay? So this one, let me check. Not that one. Right, so what you've got is you've got this one, which is going to form the basis of our pocket. And this is the piece that has just got that one score line, okay? So just fold that over just to give us a guide, okay? And we're going to attach it to the pocket by that flap, okay? So put that up that way to start with. Then what we've got here is this piece, which is the ordinary size pocket. And I'm just going to confirm the size. This is the piece of card that is 6.5 by 8.25 inches. The other two are 6.25. This is 6.5, and it's got the 3 intersecting score lines. And what we're going to do is, first of all, kinky mitre our corners, as Mel likes to call it. So what we're going to do is we're going to just snip up to where those score lines intersect. Move our scissors a little bit, so we're going to take it at a slightly different angle and cut that off. Because I think if you take it at a slightly different angle, it's not quite so bulky. And then what we're going to do is fold those. I'm going to move this out of the way now, you'll see it better. Is fold these so that you've got just an ordinary shaped pocket. I'm just going to burnish those edges. Out of the way. Because this pocket is going to fit exactly on top of that piece that we've got with just that one flap. Okay? So I'm going to glue it down now. I'm going to pop some glue onto my flaps. He's making noises behind me. Trying to keep it clean this week. Hi, Anne. Oh, where's all that glue coming from? Honestly, you get none and then you get far too much. Excuse me. There's one thing I can't abide, it's having sticky fingers. Oh, I'm no crafter.
Anne's just appeared and could he?
Yes, I've just said hello to Anne. Oh, right. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay this pocket down on top of this, glue. Hang on. Oh. On top of this page, so that what I've got is a pocket facing outwards. So the opening is here, the farthest away from that flap that we've got, okay? So we've got the flap, that's going to fold underneath and that's going to attach to our page. Okay, and this bit will flap across, and what we've got here is an opening so that we can put a photo mat in there. So if I just show you on my original, which I've lost. what we're making at the moment is, oh dear, is this page here. So it's got a couple of inserts in it that I just popped in, but that's what that page is there. That's the bit that we've just made, okay? And we'll make some inserts to go in there in due course. What just fell over? Oh, my trimmer. So what we need to do now is attach it to the very back of our book. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to find my book. Where did I put it? Where's my book? Oh, there it is. Right, so what I've got is the back of the book with the gatefold on. And I've got this bit that we've just made. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop some glue on that flap there. And I'm going to attach it to the very, very back edge of my book, making sure that it's straight. So here I've got the opening where we're going to attach the hinge. And now I've got that flap attached right to the edge, okay? So that's where the hinge is going to go. And that's where that funny flappy pocket is. Now, these two bits that we've got left, I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm just going to mitre those corners. And fold and burnish them. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach that pocket on top of this page here, slightly away from where the fold is, so inwards towards the gatefold bit, on top of there, okay? So it's going to sit like that. Which way is my spine folding? Well, at the moment, if you're talking about the spine, this is the spine on the right hand side of the book. So this is where it folds over onto the gatefold, onto the front. So my very back piece, the only bit that's actually got a spine attached at the moment, the spine is on the right hand side. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue onto those flaps there. And I'm going to attach this pocket onto the very, very back of the book. Glue that down so that the pocket is facing that way, so it'll be easy for us to take our photo mats out. Easily done that. Okay, so back of my book, pocket pointing that way, and then that flappy page, okay? When we come to put the next page in, not yet a bit, but when we come to put it together, that page will sit there, so it opens up like that, and then the other pocket is going in the opposite direction, okay? So if I show you on my original, it might make better sense. So this is what I've just made. This is the original, and we've just made this bit. We've just made this bit. Let me just take those out. We've just made that bit, and we've got our pocket here facing that way. Okay? Hi, Beatrice. Right. So what we need to do now is start to decorate with our patterned papers. Now, the nice thing about these Craftsmith papers is there's too many to choose from, which actually doesn't help. So what I want to do now is I want to decorate the back of my book, but I'm going to have to think about what the front is going to look like as well. So I'm going to choose what papers I'm going to put on the front, even though I'm not going to do the front page yet, if that makes sense. I'm going to put it to one side. Now you get 2 papers of each, I think, with this one, so you can pretty much choose anything. So my very front, there was a goldy one that I really liked. Let's have a look. Right, well, I need to have a think as well about what I'm going to use for my closure, or this will be the last thing that we do. You've got a couple of pages where you have got these square cutter parts. I'm not sure if there's 1 or 2 in this pack. I can't remember. Just the one. So I think I'm going to use that one as my closure. So I need to find some paper that's going to go really nicely with that I'm going to use on the front. So I'm going to choose, there was a nice plaid, wasn't there? Yeah, I might well put that one on the front, I think. I think so. Right, so I'm going to put that to one side for now. There should be 2 sheets of that, so I'm going to put them both to one side. Okay, and oh, I don't know, I like that one as well. Oh, this is why I tell you to go off and decorate on your own, because if you're anything like me, all you do is faff for hours on end and then can't decide which papers you want. Well, it's got to be that one, hasn't it? Right, okay, scrap that. I'm going to put these to one side. That's going to be my front paper. Right, okay. So, on my back, I'm going to use this lovely one, which of course is what I meant to do from the very beginning. Yeah. So, I'm going to put that on the very, very, very back cover. On my Green Witch, because I don't think I took a photo of this, I used this one, the Essential Spellbook for Green Witches, but I kind of decided how to cut it. I cut it so that this was central. So if you are doing this one and you want to copy it, that was what I put on the very, very back of mine. So let's have a look. Let's just check sizes. This book is 10 by 7¼ inches. So I'm going to cut that back bit out first. Now, when I'm cutting, I'm going to try and reach my trimmer now. It's fallen over. Hang on. Oh my God. This is why I don't tidy up. When I'm cutting, I cut 1/8 inch less than the size of my book. So for the back, I'm going to cut this piece at 9 7/8 by 7 1/8. And then I check it and just make sure that it is right before I glue it down, and that's spot on. That gives me just a little bit of, you know, the card around the edge. Now I know some people like to see more of their cardstock, cut it down by 1/4 inch instead of 1/8 inch. Some people I've seen actually cover the entire you know, cardstock base, which I think looks really pretty, but I can't cut straight enough to do that. So it's entirely up to you how you do it. Now, one thing that you can do, and I am going to do on this book, even though it's going to take up a little bit more time, is I like to ink the edges. Now, we were talking in group earlier about inking the edges of books, because I know Karen McGinnigal was inking the edge of hers, and her sub-box book, and she did quite an extensive ink of the edge, but I'm not going to do that for this one. I just want to get rid of that white core, so I'm just going to quickly just run my I don't know what you call them, is it a blending tool, over the edge. I'm just using black ink because that matches my cardstock. Hi Sue, you're fine, don't you worry, lovely. And I'm just gonna glue that down now so that my back is done. Now, I know a lot of people like to use tape. Absolutely nothing wrong with that when you're decorating. I always choose to use glue because I figure in the great scheme of things it just lasts longer. But it's totally personal choice. Okay. Right, so that's the very back of my book matted. Now I want to mat the gatefold bits. No magnets at this point. We won't be bothering with magnets at all until the last class probably. So don't worry and think that I'm going mad and I've forgotten. I haven't. So that is 5 by 7 1/4. So I'm going to get this paper that I chose for the front. And just remember when you're cutting that if it's directional, you need to watch that when you're cutting out. Otherwise you're going to have upside down apples. And I'm going to cut that at 7 1/8. And how much did I say? It was 5, wasn't it? So I'm cutting it at 4 7/8. And I'm going to cut one for the inside as well while I'm here, because why not? Okay, let's just check that for size.
He doesn't think he jizzes with it, and he uses a black Sharpie.
Oh, that's a good idea. I bet that's much, much quicker, and I bet it dries. Oh, that trimmer. I bet it dries quicker as well. Because Karen was using a very fancy brush, wasn't she?
She was.
In fact, we're going to have to get her to jump on and show us how she did it, because that's not something that I do, but I'd like to see how. But yeah, a black Sharpie is a really good idea. It's just so much quicker. Right. Okay, so I'm just gonna do that. And now this one.
That was 7 1/8 by 4 7/8.
Yeah, that's right.
Right for the presenter.
Okay. So now that's going to be the front of my book like that. Now what I've done as well is I've actually cut and matted each of the pieces separately to go on the spine. Now this spine is slightly wider than my original for reasons that I explained last week. So what we need to do is we need to cut 6 pieces to go on each side. So I've got bits of this left over, but I need to make sure that I'm saving enough for the very front of my book. So I'm going to cut that out first, but I'm not going to glue it on. Because like I said, that's going to be one of the last jobs we do, and it involves magnets. So I'm just going to cut it and leave it to one side. So I am cutting this at 7 1/8 by, this one will be 9 7/8. This one will be much wider for the front cover. Okay, so now I've got a problem.
7 1/8 by 9 7/8.
Yeah, because this is directional paper, that means that I can either have it on my book going sideways to make sure that I've got enough of it, because there isn't enough that way up for me to do, or I can use totally different paper. I'm inclined to think that I should use totally different paper. I think that would look quite nice. We've got a lot to choose from. So I'm going to do those spiny bits with something different. So let's have a look and see what we've got. And I think it needs to be a red. That would be my choice. And I think there is a red with a gold, not that one. Was there a, oh, that might do. Did I see a red with a, oh, it was a green. Let's have a look. That's too brown, I don't want to use that one. Right, let's see what that one looks like. Yeah, that one looks nice. I'm going to choose this one. So I'm going to cut this at just under 7 1/4, so 7 1/8 of an inch.
Mel asks, on Greenwich, are those smaller 2 panels?
Yeah, I used on my Greenwich, because it's not so desperately directional, the papers, I used this goldy cobweb one, and I used it on the spine as well. But obviously, oh, you must have used a different one on the front, not that it matters at all. But this isn't so directional, so it didn't matter which way I put it. So I've cut that at 7 1/8. Now, if you've got one of these trimmers, I would suggest that you, oh my, the trimmer's downstairs. No, it's all right, because I think I've got a spare one, and I brought, hang on. Yeah. I'm going to use my little trimmer for this one, because that big one isn't very good when it comes to small numbers, because we've only got 1/2 inch across there. So I'm going to have to cut it at just under 1/2 inch. So on my trimmer here, if I'm cutting that at 1/2 inch, that's going to be there, but that's going to be too wide. So I'm just going to cut that slightly off, because there's too much red. So I'm going to cut this at basically 3/8 of an inch. Okay. So that is my first piece. It looks a lot less wide when you're cutting it than it does on the book. So don't start being worried about that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to be quite careful about this, because I want my spine papers to match all the way along. I want them to flow. So I need to keep them in the same order. So I'm going to put that one safely there so that I know that's the order. And then I'm going to cut the next one at the same width, 3/8 of an inch. Put that there so I know that that's number 2. Cut the next one, number 3. Then number 4.
Jill Newton, who's lost, which panels are these for?
These are for the, hang on, I'll show you in a minute. These are for the spine that we've already got connected. So these are going to go here or here. It doesn't matter which way round you do it, which ones you do first, but I'm going to put mine across here. So I've got my 6 panels, these really thin little panels. I'm just going to quickly ink the edge. Pop a little bit of glue on the back. And I'm going to pop this on one of those spine between the scores, okay, like that. And I'm just going to go all the way across with those. This paper, because of the apples being quite wide apart, you're not going to see it. The order in which you're gluing them down, if you get it wrong, it's not as desperate as if you were using, you know, a very detailed pattern paper like that. But I like them when I'm sticking them. I like them to, you know, to flow, so that I'm cutting the paper and sticking it in the order in which it is in the book, if that makes sense. So I'm going to stick the next one down, and these are in between those score lines because this book is going to fold on those score lines.
As your patron has asked, couldn't you create the covers for the spine the same way you make the spine with score lines?
And just stick the whole lot over? Yeah, you could do. Absolutely. Instead of using cardstock, just use pattern paper. Nothing's stopping you doing that at all. I'm not sure. I mean, if you do it this way, it's going to be a little bit stronger. Oops. But no.
I think that looks
better. Not a problem at all. What I wouldn't do is take my pattern paper, score it, and then glue it on top of the cardstock in one whole piece, because you will find it a nightmare to line up, and even worse, it will probably well, not so much crack, but it won't sit flat. It'll bend up in the wrong places.
Yeah, because when you bend it, the one's to be longer than the other.
Yeah, I knew there'd be a scientific reason for it. I think I need a new pad on my blendy thing. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves.
Adam says he'll have to watch on replay because his connection doesn't want to work tonight.
Oh, I think we're all having trouble with things not working properly today. It's been a real pain. But it's nice that you popped in.
Creaky chair.
Right, last one on this side anyway. My pleasure, Tracy. But if you go and look at the sub box, what I did with that was I tried to do something like this, but on a plain, ordinary hardback spine. Right. Okay. Right, so that's that bit done. That's the inside spine. So now, when I fold that over, when I open up my book, I'm going to see that. Now I need to do exactly the same on the back. So between these two. So I'm going to grab my trimmer again. Oh no, little trimmer. This one. And I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to cut these down to 3/8 of an inch. Try and keep them in the right order. Because I just think that looks tidier. Now, if you're doing this like me and using one long piece, don't lose this because you're going to need it for the other end. And we'll come on to that in a bit. So I'm going to do the same again. Keep them in their order. Just ink the edge quickly. I'm losing bits of foam everywhere.
It's molting.
It is.
It's getting ready for its winter coat.
Oh. fireworks?
Yes, fireworks. Yeah, goes
Yeah.
first.
For our American family, we have let's call it a celebration on the 5th of November over here in the UK, which we call Bonfire Night, which is when we well, it depends which side you're on, but let's say we celebrate a gentleman called Guy Fawkes, who in 1600 and something, and I'm supposed to be a history scholar and I don't know that date, but in 1600 and something, he thought it would be an awfully good idea to blow up the Houses of Parliament, which of course is where our government sits. And that's what he tried to do, but his plot was foiled and the poor guy was burnt at the stake on top of a bonfire. And we remember this on the 5th of November every year. We have a little poem, a little nursery rhyme, which we recite, and we have big communal bonfires to remember him being burnt alive at the stake, which is just lovely, really. And we have fireworks. We don't. I know a lot of our European family have fireworks at New Year. It's not something that we've really traditionally done in the UK, although that is happening more and more and more. But we have our fireworks on the 5th of November. Now, my personal preference is to go to a communal bonfire and a communal firework display, because they can spend a lot more money than we can, and it's much safer and nicer, and they're usually quite spectacular. However, it's perfectly okay in the UK to buy fireworks and set them off at home. The only problem is you get people who do it way before November the 5th, which sounds nice in theory, except when you've got people and animals that are scared of the bangs and the loud noises, it's not really a joyful time for many. And despite the fact that there is a time limit on it in terms of what time of day they do it, most people don't seem to take a blind bit of notice. So if you hear any explosions in the background, don't worry, we're just celebrating trying to blow up our government. I'm not going to make any political statements about whether or not that's a good idea.
How many photos does this have?
Ah, somebody else asked me that today, and I meant to count up. I don't know. I'll have a count in a minute. Quite a few, I would say. But that's a great question, and I meant to count up and I forgot. So my apologies. I will have a count in a bit. Yeah, I guess it is kind of like the 4th of July. Actually, it must have been a similar... No, I was say it wasn't a similar time frame, was it? It was 100 years between them. 4th of July, Independence and Guy Fawkes, wasn't there? Right, so okay, so that's going to be the front of my book, and it's going to look like that. The narrow strips, Rekha, are 3/8 of an inch by 7 1/8 of an inch. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decorate this back cover. Now, I think it would be quite nice to follow that on. So this bit behind this pocket, I'm going to use that paper. I'm not going to use the one that I've already cut. I'm going to use the second page. And whilst I'm here, I'm going to have a think about how I want to decorate these up. These are the pockets. So I'll grab...
That was 3/8.
Yeah, 3/8. Yeah.
That's what I put.
Oh, you're brilliant. You've done this before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Where's my apples? There it is. Let's have something contrasting. Where were those birds? Let's have the birds. The birds. So, right. That I know is 7 1/4 inches. That is just 4 inches-ish, but I'm going to cut it a little bit longer. so that I can tuck it inside the pocket. So let's cut this at 7 1/8, and I'm going to cut it by 4 1/2. This one I'm going to cut at 7 1/8. By, how wide is this pocket? Can't remember. Put that the right way round. 5. Five and 3/4. So, oh crikey, 5 3/4 plus an 1/8.
Plus an 8.
Yeah, how much is that? 5 7/8.
Yes.
Honestly, yeah, 5 7/8. Let's just check. No, that's too big. Let's trim it down a bit.
Are we doing it 5 7/8?
No, I'm doing it less than that, and I've cut it too short. Oh, for goodness sake, I shouldn't be let out. Mine is 5 5/8. Yeah. So it's, yeah, 5 5/8. Now we're not going to decorate. All we're going to do is like the base sort of decoration for this before we put it in the book, because we can do all the fancy bits later. I only need to ink this on 3 sides because you're not going to see the left hand side once it's inside the pocket. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the back of that, and I'm just going to slide that inside the pocket because that's what gives it a much more professional finish, I think. And I'm going to lie that down on there.
Are the pictures of the green which one to follow for on these?
Yes, there are. They are all in the OneDrive. Can you find the link, my love, please?
Yeah.
I've put them all up in there. The only picture that I haven't taken is one of the very back, which I can do. All right, so what I've got now is this is going to be my gatefold, so that's going to go around like that. I've done my spine, I've done the very back page, and I've done the pocket, okay, because we're going to put stuff in there. So now I'm going to decorate this side, and I think it would be nice to have that matching. So I'm just going to cut that down a little. What's that? That is 6 inches. So, oh, I don't know. It's just whop an 1/8 inch off that. See? Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so let's just put that on there like that. Okay. Right, so there we go. I've got my book that will eventually go around like that. And now I've got these 2 bits. So that bit will fold on top of that like that. So Now we need to have a think about this opposite page in terms of what pattern papers we're going to use. So when we open this page up, what's going to be on here is that final, I've lost it. Do you remember we've still got one pocket left? And that pocket is going to go on there so that it points out that way. But I'm thinking that it will be nice to have those two papers matching. So the picture, the paper that I put on my pocket and the paper that I put on this side of this floating flap pocket thing, that would be nice if they matched. So I'm going to have a think about that, and I'm going to have a think about what paper I would want to put over here. So you've always kind of, I think when you're decorating, because I know this has come up a few times, people asking about decorating, I tend to think a couple of steps ahead. So I'm always thinking about what the opposite page is going to look like as well, because I want it all to flow, but I don't want it all to look the same, because that's boring. Actually, that might be quite fun to use on the pocket, mightn't it? And the apples would go nicely with that. I wonder if that would work. I might just use that. So what shall I use on the other pocket? Well, I might use that one because it's the same as that, even though it's a different colour. So that'll give me a really nice bit of contrast. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out the piece that I want to go on here. And I think it would be nice if it's that piece. Yes. So I'm going to cut that at, it was 6 inches, wasn't it? Yep, 6 inches. So grab big trimmer. I'm going to cut this at 7 1/8. Just bear in mind if it's directional which way it's going to sit. So it's going to sit that way. And then I'm going to score it at 5 and cut it at 5 7/8. Now let's just see if that fits.
7 1/8 by 5 7/8.
7 1/8 by 5 7/8. Yeah. So that is going to fit on there just nicely.
Super.
That is worked out perfectly, even though I do say so myself. Look at the gold on that. Can you see it? So pretty, these papers. So pretty. If you're Green Witch people and you want to follow mine, but you do have a lot of choice with these papers, I have used this sort of moon paper with the herbs. That was the hand paper, which will nicely match your clip charm. So I've got those following through there. And then on this side, I've done it the other way round. So I've got the moon and the herbs, and then the what's it thingy, the hand one. Is that fireworks again?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, we're going to have this for the next few weeks, I'm afraid, guys. Okay. Right. So, that is my first page base matted. So that's the back, front, very front cover, and then that flippy flappy pocket there. Now I want to talk about the other spine, the one that we haven't done anything with yet. I've lost mine. That was the one I wrecked. Where's my proper one? Oh no, where is it? Have I wrecked my proper one? Oh no, please don't tell me.
No, you had it at the beginning.
Yeah, I know, but I pulled it apart. Oh no. Does anybody know where I put it? I thought I had a spare one.
You did. You had it at the beginning.
What have I done with it?
Mm.
I don't know. Oh, here it is. No, it's not. I think I wrecked my good one. I'll just re-wreck it. And I'll just tidy it up a bit. Right. Glue.
Wendy's having to go on the internet. It's dreadful.
Oh, and I think lots of people are having that problem, Wendy, but thank you for joining us.
It's the funny word.
Right, let's just pop that on there. Okay. Right, so there's my spine for the other side, okay? So I'll just attach that down. To make sure it sticks properly, otherwise I'm going to have a problem. And like I said, it doesn't matter if it's ratty because you're never going to see it. You just need to make sure that it's lined up properly. Now this, oh, I've got glue all over it. This is the bit that you're going to see. So what we need to do is we need to cover these spines, you know, these little bits of the spine. So I'm going to grab that piece of paper that I saved. And I'm going to grab my little trimmer and I'm going to cut another 6 pieces at 3/8. Keep them in order. Is it me or is it really hot in here?
I am.
I know you are, but I am now. Okay, let's take that off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these onto my spine, but I need to make sure that I'm gluing them the right way up. So the bit that I've glued together for the spine is on the right hand side. That's the way it's going to go into our book. So when you glue these on, I want you to turn it right over so that that glued bit is now on your left hand side. Okay? This is if you're using a directional paper. If you aren't using a directional paper, it doesn't matter. But if you are, it's just another consideration. So I'm just inking those edges. And I'm just going to glue this down in exactly the same way as we did on the previous bit. So between those score lines.
What?
Mark's just jumped up. He makes me nervous when he does that. What's up?
I got a number.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Bizarrely, I don't mind having inky fingers, but I hate having gluey fingers. So you can see, I hope, that what I'm doing is exactly what I did here. Oh, all right, let's pop that on. So we're sticking these in between I haven't cut enough. I need to cut one more. Stupid woman.
No.
Oh no, I told you I couldn't count. I've never made any secret of the fact. Okay, nearly there. That wasn't me. That was, well, it was me. It was me sticking the paper down before anybody thinks I'm making obnoxious noises. Right, nearly there. I've taken my glasses off. Am I missing anything very important?
Nope.
Good. Hopefully then we're all okay. Right, last one. And then we're going to start attaching our book to our spine. How exciting is this?
You're bored.
And you're going to see it and you'll go, oh yeah. Right.
Inking edges isn't very exciting to watch.
No, it's not. The noise is nice though. I like the noise when you're inking your edges.
ASMR, is it?
Yeah, something like that. Okay, right, so that is going to be, that's the spine of my book. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attach it in here. So what I want you to do is I want you to slightly miter up to that first score line where that first gusset is, okay, because this is going to slip into that there, up to that first score line, and that is how we are going to attach our spine to our book. Does that make sense now? So I want you to put glue on both sides of this flappy wing bit up to that first score line. And I want you to place it inside this very back page, just like we would when we're doing normal hidden hinge binding, but we're actually kind of starting the binding a bit early, if that makes sense. And I want you to slip it up to where the score line is. Don't go over the score line, just up to the score line. And glue that down. Okay? So now what you've done is you have enclosed that back page with the spine there, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on the page that goes on this hinge, because that we've just attached is our first hinge. You know, that bit of the spine becomes our first hinge. So does that make sense to everybody before I carry on? Okay, so when we come to finish the book, that's how it's going to be. But don't stick these bits together yet. That's going to attach there eventually, but not until the end, otherwise it just gets too complicated and bulky. Okay, we good? Yeah, fantastic. Right, okay, so the next page. Now, with these base pages, for me, I've always done it the same way, and it's just a personal choice. It doesn't matter which way round you do it. It's not right or not wrong. But I like to have the flat bit of the page on the top. So that's facing me when I open a page. So the back bit is the bit where it's got the flap, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use that as my flap.
Alison said no, please repeat.
Repeat the how to stick it in. Right, you've mitered your corners, and you've got on the back of your base page, you've got these bits that stick, that open up. You're just using that wing as a hinge. So just say, for instance, right, let's just turn this upside down. We've got these bits that would be glued together if this was the back. This is why you realise now. Can I start from the... Oh, you're funny, Miranda. No, I can't. These two bits would be glued together, and then you're just going to slip the page on top. So what you've got now is you've got your hinges and you've got your spine. Oops. And that bit that we glued together from the very beginning, if you remember at the beginning, that's going to go inside. Yep. Right, so I've got my page and I've got my pocket that we cut earlier, and I'm just going to miter those corners, and I'm going to fold and burnish them.
Says, okay.
Does that make vague sense? If you get stuck, just give me a shout, Alison, and I'll go through it again. Okay, so this is the back of my page. This is my pocket. This is the open bit of the page here. I'm going to just pop some glue on like that. And I'm going to stick this on so that the open bit of the pocket is facing the outside edge of the page, like that. And the closed bit of the pocket, the bottom, is where the page attaches to the book. Okay, so what I've got here... really help if I glued it down properly. Just realised how badly I put that on.
Yes.
It's very bad, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know why that's so bad.
Yes.
I'll cut that down a bit.
Yes.
Never mind, it's near enough. You won't see it when I've glued it down. Yeah, bodge it.
No, near enough.
Near enough, yeah. Okay. So that is that page that is going to fit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just decorate it quickly. I'm going to have, this is just the way I'm decorating. I mean, obviously you do whatever you want to do. But that is going to go like that. And then I'm going to use that grey brownie one to go over here. So I'm going to cut this down to, it was 6 inches, wasn't it? Oh, I need my bigger trim. Another slither. A slither. Okay, and then this one, 7 1/8 by, it was 4.5, wasn't it? Glue that down. Yeah, more fireworks. Oh, take my glasses off. Okay, so when we've decorated the other side, that will form that page there, like that, okay? Now, I am really aware that this has been a long class tonight and it's almost 9 o'clock. I had hoped to do this side as well, but it's up to you. We can either carry on and do this side, or we can leave that until next week. It's entirely up to you. What would you prefer to do? Bodget and Scarpa. That's a great name for a set of lawyers, maybe. You're all deeply immersed, aren't you? Carry on. Okay.
That's one.
Good, good. It's fine by me. I don't mind carrying on. It would be nice to get another page in the book, I think. Oh, Luann wants to carry on next week. Carry on. So it's taking a lot longer, this book, because we're decorating as we go, but we kind of have to. All right, we'll do the front of this page. It's not going to take too long, because what we've got to do now is just another pocket, but
Keep going.
oh, I've dropped my book. It's way over here. Oh,
it's alright, still carry on.
This page, it won't take long because it's only a couple of pockets. We've got a big pocket here at the back. Okay, and we've got a little pocket on top of that, so 2 pockets. Okay, and like I said, we'll do all the inserts and the mats at the very end. Okay, no, Jill, you know what, we got organised and we had tea before we started, so that's what we're going to do now. Okay, and then we'll base decorate, we'll make the pockets, we'll base decorate it, and we'll get it in the book, and then you'll really feel like you've achieved something amazing tonight. So what you need to do now is I want you to get your trimmers, and you are going to need a couple of pieces of cardstock. So let me find my cutting guide.
This is page 6 then.
This is page 6, yeah. So what I want you to do, this is for the long pocket that goes at the back.
Terry Marcus is going to run. Thank you for a bit less.
It's all right, I'll see you later, Terry. We're going to cut 11 by 5.5 inches. Okay, that's for the big pocket. And then the little pocket, I don't know if I've got a piece that's left over from somewhere. No, possibly not. Is going to be 8 by 3.5 inches. So I can cut it that way around. So 8 by 3.5. Okay, pop your trimmer away for now. And grab your scoreboards. Now these are just really, really, really simple pockets once again. So we'll start off with the big one. First of all, we are going to score on the 11-inch side. That means it's 11 across the top. And we're going to score at 1/2 inch. And we're going to score at 10.5 inches. Turn it round 90 degrees. And we're going to score on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. So we're forming again another simple pocket with 3 intersecting score lines. Exactly the same with the little pocket. We're going to score on the 8-inch side at 1/2 inch. and at 7.5 inches. Scoot it round 90 degrees and score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch. So we've got a much smaller pocket, but it's exactly the same as the big one. So let's mitre both of those corners. We're going to snip up to where the score lines intersect. Move our scissors round a bit and snip off so that our line isn't straight. It's got a bit of a kink in it. Hence why Mel calls this kinky mitering. And we might as well, while we're here, do this other one. Okay. Right, put your little one to one side for a minute, and we're going to start with the big one. So if you fold on your score lines and then burnish them well. We have our big pocket, which when we get our page, make sure that you have it the right way round. So now we're working on the front so that the opening is on the left hand side. This pocket is going to fit exactly on top of the page like that. So I'm going to pop a bit of glue on the flaps. And I'm going to lie this down on my page and glue that down. Once again, remember that your opening is going to be on the left hand side, so it's here, okay? Now before we put that small pocket on, it's infinitely easier if we decorate this first. So now I'm going to have a think about what papers I want to put on here. Bearing in mind as well, looking ahead, I've lost my book. Oh, it's here. Looking ahead to what I'm going to put on the opposite page. Now, the opposite page, working on this one, the opposite page in here is this one, and it folds out like that with a little pocket there, okay? So just think about the way that your book flows and which way it's going to go. But so I need to, you know, have a think about. It's nice and easy with the green witch because the paper's green, but this one is slightly different. You know, you've got quite a lot of choice. So what I might do, probably just thinking ahead, is I would use the same paper on the that big pocket, that little pocket, and that little pocket there. But knowing that we've got 2 sheets of each one the same, that's really not going to be difficult to choose. So let's have a think. Let's do something completely different. Let's have, what about that gold leaf? What about that one? I kind of like that one. So that'll do for that. What we'll put on top. I'll see you later, Karen. Thank you for joining us. Actually, that's kind of nice. That would go with it. Right. So I'm going to put this up here and I'm going to put this one down here. So I know that this is 10 inches. My bottom pocket is 5 inches and that I'm going to cut at, say, 3 inches. So, am I boring you, dear? Huh? It has. So even though this is directional, it's not so directional that this matters too much.
Oh, Janet says night.
Night, Janet. See you soon. So this one I've just cut at, I can't remember, 3.5 inches by 9 7/8, and that is going to fit in there like that. Now I need to cut out this piece, which I can't remember. Was it 5 inches?
I can't remember now.
Yeah, 5 inches. So I'm going to cut it at 4 7/8, which is the way around, that way. So 4 7/8. By 9 7/8. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to glue that down. Oh, hang on, I need to take my glasses off. I can't see what I'm doing.
Christy Morrow says good night.
Night, Chrissy. I'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us. We're nearly done. Are you off, Dee?
Or she just...
Or are you just agreeing with Christy?
Decorating with Greenwich later. I don't know.
Okay. Right, so that's the front of the page. But now I've got this other little pocket. So I'm just going to fold that and burnish it. And I'm going to glue this directly onto this pattern paper because it's a whole lot easier doing that than trying to faff about.
Yeah, Dee was just agreeing with the...
righty-ho. Okay, good. Still with us then. Right, so this little pocket I'm just going to attach in the middle of this big pocket, and I'm eyeballing it, so goodness knows what that's going to look like. Not bad. Straight-ish. Right. So I'm sticking that on the top because it was just easier by far. Let's make sure that's stuck down well. And now I need to choose what paper I'm putting on there. Kind of like the contrast of that. Oh, decisions. I'm going with that one. Right, so I need to cut this down to 7 by 3. Oh, I'll use my big one. So 6 7/8 by 2 7/8. Now, before you think that I've completely lost my mind and this is the wrong paper, yeah, nah, will do. That's it. Before you think that I've lost my mind and this is completely the wrong paper, I'm going to tell you why I've chosen that one. Right, where's my book? Here we go. In the Green Witch, this is this page here. So what I use, so I've got some decoration on the top, which we'll come to do later. But this page, I use the green sort of alcohol-y ink type thing. I've got these two matching on this one, which is the green hands. But in this orchard one, I know, she says, where have I put my paper? Oh, here. That in both, well, all of the paper, all in the books, we've got some stripes. We haven't got any cut aparts in this one in the same way that we've got cut aparts in the Green Witch paper, because they're angular in the Green Witch paper. They're, you know, like rectangular. In this one, instead of the cut aparts, what we've got are these sort of images. They're sort of autumny images, and we will come round, we'll get round to fussy cutting those. But we've also got these nice stripes. So when I come to decorate, what I'll do is I'll cut one of these stripes out and I'll put it on top of here. But I'm going to have a nice contrast in the meantime. So I haven't completely lost my mind. Oh. There is a good reason why I've chosen that paper. It's just for a bit of sort of, well, contrast really. Okay. So I'm just going to glue that down on top of there. So no, it doesn't look like it goes, but that's not going to matter. Okay, so that's that page done now, until obviously we come round to actually put the fancy bits on. But I would like to attach this into my book. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just snip and mitre these corners off the first hinge. So I've got the back of my book here, and I've got that first hinge there, which is floating, please note. And I'm going to want to put that hinge, that page, on that hinge there, and make sure that that lines up with that, okay? Because when this book goes together, that page is going to sit there. It's going to have a bit of movement in it, but that's where it's going to sit. So now we're back into normal hidden hinge territory, stuff that we know and understand. The only difference is that this is loose, okay? So I'm going to do exactly what I do on all of the hidden hinge stuff. I'm going to pop some glue on both sides of that hinge.
Kirsten says it's nice to see and learn your design picking process.
It's guesswork mostly, Kirsten, to be honest with you. So I know, you know, when we've talked before about design and how I can't, it's not something I've never had any sort of like formal training in art or design. I mean, I did art at A level, which was, you know, at 18 in the UK. And I've always made stuff, but I've never had any sort of formal design learning. And I think it's not always something that you can teach, it's just something that you do. And I think the biggest issue that I would have teaching that is that, to me, it's something inside you that tells you whether or not you like it. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, totally irrelevant. Do you think that piece of paper looks nice there? Do you think that layered up, that looks good? So long as you like it, that's all that matters. And it can be super simple. You might want to leave your book just like this. Or it might be really complicated and layered up. So you see, I'd be hopeless as a design teacher. So now that's my first page in on that hidden hinge, okay? So that lines up there with that. Exactly the same as we've got hidden hinge. I will come to put some paper, some design paper in between these two pieces here, just to tidy that up a bit. But you can see here now that we've got 2 pages in our book. and it's starting, I think you can start to see how it comes together. But you see, when we fold that round now, these two bits are starting to naturally come together. So once we've got all the pages in and we get to the front, it's going to be very easy to glue these together to put that last page in. If we did that at the beginning, we'd be struggling all the time. You'd be fighting it to get it in. Okay, so that's why we don't do that until last. So I hope that's helped a little bit in way of explanation. So there we go. Are we all right with that? Are we all happy so far?
Yes.
That's as much as I wanted to do tonight. I'm sorry it's taken a little longer. But, you know, we're really getting on great guns with this now. So next week we'll do, I think we might just do 2 pages instead of 3, because essentially, we've done 4, haven't we, with the back. We'll maybe just do this next page next week. But we're getting there. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope that helps. I hope it explains itself now. If you've got any problems, just give me a shout. We haven't got class tomorrow, have we? No class tomorrow. Sorry, guys. I have put some dates together for Cal's clinic, so I'll drop those by you. Thank you so much for all the ideas that you've come up with. That was really, really helpful. And we'll start that in November. So we will see you next Wednesday at 7:30 in here. We'll do this next page. But until then, just ask any questions if you've got any problems. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.